You know, most men don't spend time on their women. Even when they're leaking, they don't spend time. 1 to 3 seconds, they're up. But you see a woman spending so much time giving you, blowing your trumpet, but you're not spending time licking her plate. You're not slow, you're always too rough. Sometimes rough is not it, my darling. Let me just be honest with you. She would want you there. Okay, so before we talk about kissing her labia majora, of course the inner thighs are really sensitive and a lot of times we neglect it. Hey loves, welcome to my channel. My name is Jane Lawrence and this is the Love Zone where we get things right in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom. So in today's episode, without waste of time, I will be giving you 7 steps to teasing your woman in bed that would automatically get her to fantasize about you and get addicted to you for life. You know, teasing always will bring any woman to a frenzy, and it works on men too. So it's very important that you bring it into your romance, and your romance game isn't exactly complete without you knowing how to tease your partner. So it is essentially true to keeping things red hot and spicy in your marriage, in your relationship, because at the end of the day, this foreplay also increases the chances that your woman will orgasm by 50% if you add like 15 to 20 minutes of the time you spend on teasing. So without waste of time, without waste of time, I am going to be giving you a step-by-step guide to how you can tease her better. Number 1, you need to start with a slow journey. Except it's a quickie, my darling. There is no rush when it comes to teasing your woman in bed. So you got to start with kissing from her mouth. Kiss from her mouth down to her twin towers. You know, and then keep kissing her body as you lower yourself to her hips, to her waist. And then when you get to her panties, place a hand on her legs and then slowly spread them apart and lean onto the spots that are especially sensitive and that, you know, usually turns your woman on. Those spots are known as the erogenous zones. And I think most of the men tend to neglect this particular one that is called the labia majora. That's the bigger lips or the outer lips of the vulva. Because much of it is not talked about and more of the clit is more talked about and concentrated on. Now, you should try kissing the sides of a vulva. This is the vulva. The sides are the corners of her vulva. You should try kissing the corners of her vulva. Those parts are, you know, easily neglected. And you see, the parts that are easily neglected, when you concentrate on them once in a while, it will become an erogenous spot for your woman because those places have not been her nest. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you're kissing the corners of a vulva, then you can move on to the labia majora and you don't have to suck on those lips, but you could just give them French kiss, all right? Just like you do with your normal lips. Remember, slow and intentional is more sensational and electrifying for women. Okay, so before we talk about kissing her labia majora, let's just paint a picture of her putting on, you know, her panties. She's still in her panties, okay? Which leads me to number 2, her panties. Don't be so much in a hurry to take them off. Don't take them off just yet. Just instead, kiss her vulva through the panties and then squeeze it lightly with your lips. All right? And you could also softly run your tongue over her Juicypot from the bottom right to her clit or right to her powerhouse. Number 3, after kissing her through her panties for a few minutes, I would advise you to move slightly lower with your kissing along her inner thighs. All right, of course the inner thighs are really sensitive and a lot of times we neglect it. All right, you could go even as far down to, you know, the inner side of her knees right here. But remember that when you move further away from the Juicypot, it becomes less sensitive for a woman. So kiss down along her inner thighs, one leg at a time, then back up. After kissing one leg, before switching to another leg, you could just, you know, dive into her Juicypot lick the powerhouse, you know, play with the labia majora or the labia minora, and then leave it for some time and go back to the other leg that you haven't even touched just yet. Switch over to another leg that you haven't touched. All right, that way you're teasing her. You're teasing her. Just immediately after you leave the Juicypot, you know, from licking her plate, you go over to another leg. She would want you there. So if she likes it rougher, you could gently just squeeze, you know, the skin of her inner thighs between your lips or with your teeth or even with your palms. But make sure not to be too rough. Otherwise, you would risk seriously hurting her. You could also suck the skin, you know, to give her a hickey that no one else will see but her. And then when crossing to the other leg, spend time, a little time more, kissing her Juicypot outside of her panty. So instead of kissing her Juicypot with the panty obstructing it, you just shift it to the corner and kiss the Juicypot or lick the plate, however it is, sensually, slowly. Keep kissing it until you think that she's about to come. You leave it and you go do other things like kissing her navels or, you know, just fondling with her other erogenous spot until she feels the need to push you down there and beg you to go down to that spot. And don't be surprised, she's definitely going to beg you to start eating her out at this stage. And if she does, try to keep it slow paced, all right? So that you keep building the anticipation. You need to build the anticipation. Teasing is about building anticipation. Do you get what I mean? Now, number 4, before you take off her panties, right, you should try to move way above her powerhouse to the top of her panties, all right? And then place small kisses on the area above her powerhouse, all right? And I'm sure that at this point, she's already eager to bury your head in between her thighs with nothing obstructing it. So if you're sure that she's at this point, then you could go on and do number 5, which is taking her panties off. Finally. And that's if she hasn't even taken it off already all by herself, because at some point in time when you tease a woman and she's crazy, she just wants you there, she wants your lips there, she's just going, she wouldn't even know when she takes off everything and starts begging you to go down on her. And listen guys, at this point you shouldn't take her panties off too fast or too rough. Just place your fingers by the sides of her panty and, you know, let's assume that this is a woman and this is a panty. You take, you know, you start sliding down the panty from the outer side of her hips down slowly. And assuming that she's standing and you're kneeling, you can start kissing on her vulva, kissing on her laps, her thighs, her inner thighs until she finally gets out of her panty. It will be so, she will run bonkers. She will run mad. I mean, oh my God. So always remember that slow, intentional moves are very effective, very impactful. All right. Number 6 way for you to tease her while giving her a head is what I call close call. You know, close call is what I would describe as, you know, playing around the hot spots, but not exactly touching it, like playing around the powerhouse, but you're not exactly touching it. Now, this is what I mean, right? You can start slowly kissing and licking around the opening of a Juicypot or around, you know, her powerhouse, extremely slowly. Just let's assume this is a powerhouse. You're kissing around it. What you're doing is that you're building tension around that sensitive hot spot, but you're not touching it. You're just igniting them around the corners. If you really like what I'm doing right now, you should be clicking on that thank you button right now, honestly, because what I'm teaching you here is something that when you do it, you know, most men don't spend time on their women. Even when they're leaking, they don't spend time. 1 to 3 seconds, they're up. But But you see a woman spending so much time giving you, blowing your trumpet, but you're not spending time licking her plate. It is not good. I keep on telling you guys, be intentional. Except you really don't love this woman, you will not spend time, eating her plate, licking the plates. And you've got to lick it very well in such a way that when you're done, like when you're done eating, or you've not even entered, when you're done eating, she's going to be exhausted because she has come multiple times. It's possible for women to come multiple times. It's just that you men, you're not spending ample time on foreplay, on eating her plate, on caressing her body. You're not slow, you're always too rough. Sometimes rough is not it, my darling. Let me just be honest with you. You get her there when you're more slow and intentional. You're putting pressure, but you're slow, you're intentional. You're alternating the rhythm, you're alternating the pressure. Do you get what I mean? So back to what I was saying, you're kissing the corners of her hot spots. Now make sure that the edge of your lips is making tiny amount of contact with her juicy pot or with her powerhouse as you move around them. All right, this will tease her like crazy. It will make her go crazy. And when you know that you've marinated her vulva so good, then that's when you're ready for number 7. Are you ready?